Hello everybody, this is Laura Susan Johnson again. I'm a big fan of Anne of Green Gables. Have been since the mid-90s, I believe. I tried to read the books, and I will get into that in a moment. I saw the 1985 miniseries with Megan Follows, Colleen Dewhurst, and Richard Farnsworth. And Love Horse. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And I liked the sequel miniseries, Anne of Avonlea. I went on Netflix late yesterday, and I found a brand new series based on Lucy Maud Montgomery's Anne of Green Gables books. And it is called Anne with an E. Now, it's a brand new series. I think it's a Netflix original series. And it's a kind of a new spin. And the characters look more like what I pictured as I read the books. I didn't read the books before I saw the 1985 and 87 miniseries before I even bothered to read the books. And let me say something about the books before I talk about this new 2007 miniseries. Back in 1908, before they had television or any kind of electronics, any kind of YouTube, all they had was books. They didn't even, I don't think, had radio. I don't think. I might be wrong, but I very seriously doubt they even had radio. They had books. And writers in those days wrote very, very, shall we say, elaborate, frilly, just a lot of words. A lot of words went into saying very little, because that was your entertainment. That was going to help you create your mental picture of entertainment. Today we're more visual. This is not in any way meant to be a disrespectful statement towards writers of the past. Writers of the past wrote the way they did because that was a way to engage your mind and make you create mental pictures. The very first passage about Anne of Green Gables is simply about a stream. And it's very, very detailed and very poetic. I mean, just, that's how it is. And to me, that's just, it's great and everything in its way, and if you're in the right mood for it, it's great, but I have attention deficit disorder. I can barely read today's books. I'm more of a movie person. So there are people out there who are slamming this miniseries, this brand new one, saying Lucy Maud would be rolling in her grave. They've defiled it. They've turned it into a, Breaking Bad type spin on this classic, innocent, Victorian era, sweet Disney-esque story. And they've ruined it. And I'm like, no, they haven't. They've simply changed it to bring in a new audience, to refresh. They've tried to get it to be relatable to today's kids. The cast in this new miniseries, especially the kids, look so much more like real kids. I mean, as much as I love Megan Follows as Anne, she was much too pretty. I mean, I always thought, she's the only Anne for me. She's the only Anne for me. For years, that's what I thought. That's how in love with her performance I was. But this, what's her name? Amy Beth McNulty. This little girl is incredible. I'm sorry to say this, but she's more Anne than Megan Follows can be, because Megan Follows is a beautiful woman. She has sort of a auburn blondish hair. I mean, it looked red sort of in the sun, and they kind of, you could see that they were really trying to get the lighting to really emphasize the red tones. But this Amy Beth McNulty, she does have red hair. She does have real freckles. She's right in that awkward phase, about 12, 13 years old. She's got the funny looking teeth. She's not a pretty child. She's got the inner beauty, and it shines through. You fall in love with her almost instantly as soon as she's in the movie, in the series. She's more true to the Anne in the books as far as the appearance. I mean, Megan Follows is actually too pretty to be teased and say, oh, she's so horribly skinny and ugly, Marilla. So, yeah, it's not quite as believable with Megan Follows as it used to be. I still love Megan Follows, don't get me wrong, but Amy Beth McNulty has knocked it out of the park with this new Anne. Colleen Dewhurst, the older Marilla Cuthbert from the previous series. She was amazing, still is amazing. But Geraldine James is right on par with Colleen Dewhurst. Now, the only thing about Geraldine James's performance, or actually the character, the way it was written at first, it was the most chicken shit thing to do, to take Anne's cherry blossom out of the carpet bag and throw it in the fire. There was no reason not to let Anne keep it. I mean, that was just a little bit too chicken shit for me. And it just didn't sit well with me. I thought, well, this is just the Wicked Witch of the West. They've made her too mean. But by and by, it didn't take too long, especially after the amethyst brooch incident, that Marilla began to grow on me through Geraldine James. She became very gentle and lovable, slowly but surely began to be more relatable. This series goes deeper into Marilla and Matthew's history and childhood. R.H. Thompson, and I've seen him. He's very familiar to me as a Canadian actor. He plays Matthew this time around, and he's good too. I loved Richard Farnsworth's performance as R.H. Thompson is a sweetheart too. I think he's a little bit harder to read at first, He's a little bit more aloof than Farnsworth was, but, a little bit more of a very aloof, standoffish, but it's kind of more true to a shy person. It's nice that they have the little French boy, Jerry Baynard, and the little actor that plays him, Amric Jet Montaz, is really good. Diana Barry, the new one, she's much more the right age. Skylar Fisk, who played the original Diana, it was beautiful and wonderful, of course, but she looked like a young woman in her 20s. Dahlia Bela, who plays the new Diana Barry, she's looks the appropriate age. Now, one standout I really have to mention is Lucas Jade Zuman as the new Gilbert Blythe. Now, who played the Jonathan something? Jonathan, I can't remember. I'll have to get his name too. The original Gilbert Blythe, I thought, was really a good. He had a good chemistry match with Megan Follows. But this new Gilbert Blythe has a great chemistry match with the new Anne Shirley as well. And it's a lot less lovey-dovey, playing hard to get, and it's a lot less all about romance this and romance that with them, where it's all about, he's more realistic, and it's just a lot more relatable for me. He's taking care of his father, who has tuberculosis, consumption, whatever they called it in those days. And he's a lot more morose. He's a lot more quiet and reserved. He's not just... He does yank on Anne's hair and call it carrots. And he does, tease her one time, but most of the time he just says that she's smart. He even says she's cute once right in front of all his friends. He defends her. He never mocks her. He never challenges her. I mean, they took things out of the book that I thought were, a little bit maybe silly, and they kind of made this into something that would ring more true today, and I kind of like it. Whether or not the author would be rolling over in her grave, I don't think it matters to me. I like this miniseries a lot. It's all shot on location, just like the other one was. The beautiful, bewitching scenery is what really kind of closes the deal for me, too. It still feels like Anne of Green Gables because it's still shot in that beautiful, beautiful place, Prince Edward Island. It still has those beautiful cliffs, the prairies, the seaside, the red roads, where they can drive their horse and buggy, the beautiful little towns, the beautiful period costumes with the puff sleeves, and just the scenery alone, But not only that, and this is what really kind of irks me. People seem to want the past to be a place of innocence. And sure, I'm all for escapism. So pick your version and stick to it. Or enjoy both versions like I intend to. I like the Megan Follows version. I do. But I also like this one. As a matter of fact, I think I love both. But now that I've seen the other one so many times that I've outgrown it. And these people are the actual age that the characters are. So the story never changes. Anne of Green Gables, she's always going to start off the story as a 13-year-old or a 12-year-old. They are going to start menstruating, and what's wrong with that? These people are screaming, oh, I don't want to hear about how she starts menstruating. This book wasn't about that. Oh, I don't want to hear about how one of her foster families, she overheard them having sex. How they had to pet their, pet mouse shit. I don't want to hear about that crap. That wasn't what she wrote about. Whatever happened to innocent stories? And it's like, Anne of Green Gables, in those times, there was so much prejudice and so much hatred in the world, and you don't even understand how the theme of Anne of Green Gables is overlooked. You're so busy staring at all the pretty costumes and all the pretty scenery, and indeed they are pretty, but Anne is an orphan, and orphans were looked on as scum. They were looked on as just as unsavory as divorcees were looked on as in the 1950s, as gay people are looked on today, even through, though we've gone through lots of progress. It's really sad that, like in the movie Titanic, if you were poor, if you were an orphan, this is around the same time period too. If you were anything other than rich and privileged and, from high society, you were scum. And I think that putting a little realism about Anne being an orphan, being in the foster system of the times, being exposed to a lot of things that we might not want to think about, probably should be put in there. She was probably molested. She was probably raped way before she started her period. Let's be real. Why not be real? Why do we have to have escapism in everything? If you want your escapism, then don't watch this one. Just go watch the Megan Follows version. That's a fine version. It's fine. It's not bad to want escapism and want it perfectly free of anything you just don't want to see. But don't knock this one because you think it should be only one way. It really, really does something for me. I like heroes. Anne's a hero. She may be fiction, but she's a hero. There's people like her out there. There's graphic scenes of her being beaten. There's not a lot of violence, but you can see there's child abuse in this movie, and it's not very pretty to look at. There's not a ton of it, but there's some. I've only seen the first season. It looks like there's 7 episodes per season. I didn't know it existed until last night, and I binged it last night, all 7 episodes. I guess that was what it was. And I think that the next season premieres next year. I don't know what time next year. I'm sure they're filming now. And I really like it. So, whatever your opinion is of it, I think if you're a fan of the books, and even of the older miniseries, give this a try.